No one walking into that Tokyo mall expected anything unusual that day. It was just another busy afternoon in one of the most vibrant cities in the world, where crowds move like waves and every face blends into the rhythm of everyday life. Shoppers carried their bags, couples laughed over coffee, and tourists snapped photos of everything they could. It felt ordinary, predictable, even. But sometimes, the most unforgettable moments begin in the most ordinary places. And for one fan, that ordinary day turned into something they would never forget for the rest of their life. Imagine this for a second. You're walking through a mall, maybe checking your phone, maybe thinking about what to eat next, maybe just killing time. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, you look up, and your brain refuses to process what your eyes are seeing. Standing just a few steps away are two people you've watched on screen, listened to for years, admired, supported, and emotionally connected to in ways that are hard to explain to anyone outside that world. That's exactly what happened when this fan came face to face with Jimin and Jungkook. At first, it didn't even feel real. That's something many fans report in moments like this. The brain enters a kind of disbelief mode. Is that really them? Am I imagining this? Why would they be here? Those questions don't come one at a time. They crash all at once, creating a moment of complete emotional overload. And then reality hits. Witnesses say the fan froze completely, eyes widening, hands trembling slightly. There was no screaming at first, no dramatic reaction, just silence. That kind of silence that comes when your mind is trying to catch up with your heart. Because what do you even do in that situation? Do you approach them? Do you stay back? Do you pretend to be calm? But here's the thing. No one is ever truly prepared for a moment like that. As Jimin and Jungkook continued walking casually through the mall, dressed simply and blending in more than you might expect from global superstars, the distance between them and the fan closed quickly. And in that split second, everything changed. The fan's eyes filled with tears. Not because something sad happened, not because of fear, but because of something deeper, something that's hard to put into words. Maybe it was years of memories tied to their music. Maybe it was the comfort their voices brought during difficult times. Maybe it was the realization that the people who once felt so far away were suddenly right there, within reach. Isn't that what makes moments like this so powerful? It's not just about meeting celebrities. It's about what those celebrities represent in someone's life. Think about it. How many people turn to music during their lowest points? How many find motivation, healing, or even identity through artists they admire? For millions of fans around the world, Jimin and Jungkook aren't just performers, they're emotional anchors. So when that connection becomes real, physical, undeniable, it can be overwhelming. The fan reportedly tried to speak, but the words wouldn't come out. Instead, tears streamed down their face, completely unfiltered. And here's where the moment became even more meaningful. Jimin noticed. There's something about Jimin that fans often talk about, his awareness. His ability to read emotions, to notice small details others might miss. And in that crowded mall, with everything going on around him, he saw one person struggling to hold back a wave of emotion. He slowed down. Jungkook, walking beside him, followed his gaze and quickly understood the situation. And just like that, the atmosphere shifted. What could have been a fleeting, distant encounter turned into something deeply personal. They didn't rush away. They didn't ignore it. They didn't treat it like just another fan moment. They acknowledged it. And that simple act, just noticing, just being present, meant everything. Have you ever thought about how rare that is? In a world where celebrities are often surrounded by security, time constraints, and constant pressure, moments of genuine human connection can be incredibly limited. Yet here they were, taking a moment to connect with someone who clearly meant it when they said they were a fan. The fan, still emotional, managed to bow slightly, a gesture of respect, common in Japan but also deeply personal in that moment. Jungkook gave a soft smile, the kind that feels reassuring without needing words. Jimin, gentle as ever, responded with a warm expression that seemed to say, "It's okay. We see you." And just like that, the tears kept coming, but now they carried a different feeling. Relief, gratitude, joy. It raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Why do these moments hit so hard? Some people might look at this and say, it's just a celebrity encounter. But is it really just that? Or is it something more layered, more emotional, more human? Because if you strip away the fame, what's left is a connection between people. One side gives their art, their time, their energy to the world. The other side receives it, holds onto it, and builds something meaningful from it. And sometimes, those two sides meet. That's what happened in that Tokyo mall. Witnesses later described the moment as quiet but powerful. There was no chaos, no massive crowd forming instantly, no overwhelming noise. Just a small pocket of emotion in the middle of a busy space. And maybe that's what made it even more special. It wasn't staged. It wasn't planned. It wasn't part of a performance. It was real. Moments like this also remind us of something important about Jimin and Jungkook themselves. Despite their global fame, despite performing in massive stadiums and being recognized worldwide, they still carry a sense of humility and awareness that fans deeply appreciate. You can see it in how they interact, how they respond, how they choose to engage. And that consistency matters. Because fans notice everything. They notice the small smiles, the subtle gestures, the way someone reacts when they think no one is watching. And those details often define how people feel about an artist far more than any performance ever could. So when a moment like this goes viral, it's not just because of the shock factor. It's because it confirms something fans already believe, that behind the fame, there's genuine care. But let's flip the perspective for a second. What would you do if you were in that fan's position? Would you stay calm? Would you approach them? Would you freeze? Would you cry? Be honest. Because it's easy to imagine staying composed until it actually happens. And that's why this story resonates with so many people. It feels relatable, even if the situation itself is rare. The emotional reaction, the disbelief, the overwhelming joy, those are things anyone can understand. It also speaks to the power of unexpected moments. We often think life-changing experiences have to be big, planned, or dramatic. But sometimes, they happen in the middle of an ordinary day, when you least expect them. A random trip to a mall, a casual walk, a quick glance up, and suddenly, everything shifts. That fan didn't wake up that morning thinking, today I'll meet Jimin and Jungkook. There was no preparation, no plan, no script. And maybe that's what made it perfect. Because it was real, raw, unfiltered. As the moment came to an end, Jimin and Jungkook continued on their way, blending back into the flow of the mall as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. But for that fan, everything had changed. How do you even go back to normal after something like that? Do you sit down and try to process it? Do you call someone immediately? Do you replay the moment over and over in your head, trying to make sure it actually happened? Most likely, all of the above. And here's another interesting layer to consider. These moments don't just impact the person involved. They ripple outward. When stories like this are shared, they remind other fans of why they connected in the first place. They reinforce that emotional bond. They keep the connection alive. And in a digital world where so much feels distant or curated, moments like this feel refreshingly authentic. So maybe the real question isn't just, why did the fan cry? Maybe it's, what does this say about the relationship between artists and fans? Because clearly, it's not just about music. It's about presence. It's about impact. It's about being there for someone, even if you don't know them personally. And that's something worth thinking about. If this story made you imagine what you would do in that situation, or if it reminded you of why you became a fan in the first place, you're not alone. Moments like these are rare, but the emotions behind them are universal. So tell me, what would your reaction be if you suddenly met Jimin and Jungkook in real life? Would you stay calm? Or would you break down just like this fan did? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this story with someone who would totally lose it in the same situation, and don't forget to follow for more real, emotional moments like this.